I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to our UN virtual celebration of the 75th founding of the United Nations. It's also the 52nd anniversary of our chapter, the Northeastern Pennsylvania chapter of the United Nations Association of America. I am the president. My name is Dr. Elizabeth Seaman Bonczar and have the honor to be president of this chapter. We have traditionally had evolved from the very beginning 52 years ago of a flag ceremony, of the raising of the UN flag, to very complicated and wonderful programs concerning luncheons where we had great speakers, some very famous people, some wonderful chair people to run our event, and also workshops for high school students so they could learn about the United Nations and most recently about the Sustainable Development Goals. However, the pandemic has kept us from doing that format this year. So therefore, that concept is on hold and we changed to a different format. We will be doing the Pledge of Allegiance a little bit later because that's how we normally begin our programs. Okay, this year's UN Day theme is past, present, and progress. Our mission as a chapter is to educate our community about the United Nations. As I mentioned, we've had these wonderful programs that are on hold, but this year we have a chairperson by the name of Moran Savakinus, who is the executive director here at the Lackawanna County Historical Society. And she has given us the guidance to develop a virtual program that will help our young people try to make a difference in the world. And she will be talking about that once we're done with our small program that we have here as an intro. Okay. Before I turn the program over to Marianne, we're going to have some comments from our chairman, David Wenzel. He has been the mainstay of our organization along with his wife, Janet, and those comments you'll hear shortly.
Hello and welcome. My name is Joe Ricarrdo. I am a board member of the Northeastern Pennsylvania chapter of the United Nations Association. I'm here with our chairman emeritus, former Scranton Mayor David Wenzel. Hi, Dave.
Very good, Joe. How are you?
Dave, it's United Nations Day 2020.
Yes.
And it's an extra special year. It's the 75th anniversary of the founding of the United Nations.
And it happens to be the year I was born.
There you
so
go.
There you go. It's easy to remember.
Dave, you have been involved with the Northeastern chapter since the beginning of the program, and
yes.
You've worked very hard to support the United Nations
yes.
throughout the years
yes.
and the important work it does.
Yes, Joe. That's true, Joe.
We have a special program this year. We are partnering with an organization called the $100 Solution Program. It was founded by Dr. Bernie Strenecky, who is a Scranton native and an alumnus of the University of Scranton. It's a program that engages students in service to the community and the type of service that has a global impact. So this is a really special year. We're hoping to be able to partner with this $100 Solution Program into the future. This is the first year, the inaugural year of it. And I can't think of any better way, Mayor, than to celebrate the founding of the United Nations than to engage students in service.
This is great. Okay.
Super. All right, thank you, and welcome to our program, and have a good day.
Please note, our organization started, I mentioned, as a flag ceremony. So we're going to have a flag ceremony honoring the founding of the UN. Our current mayor in Scranton, of which our chairman, David, was a former mayor, has consented to allow us to raise the UN flag on City Hall for a week, officially on October 23rd and at 4 o'clock. And we're going to have a proclamation read, which is very nice, of Mayor Gephardt Cognetti. So we're looking forward to that event. So on that note, I'm now going to turn the program over to OB4, but I must thank several people. Joe Ricarrdo for lining up the flag ceremony, David for his comments, and our committee, Bob Savakinus and Peggy Inetta, that are here today also, for their help and support of this virtual program. So it's a brave new world, and here we go. And we're going to turn it over to Mary Ann to explain this program. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone, and thanks to Dr. Elizabeth Bonczar and to Mayor Dave Wenzel and Joe Ricarrdo for the lovely greeting video that they've prepared. And welcome to UN Day 2020, presented by the Northeast Pennsylvania chapter of the UNA. Hold on one second. And I do want to make one program note that originally the flag raising was scheduled for yesterday, Friday, but it has been moved. So the flag raising is going to happen on Wednesday, October 28th at 5 p.m. So if anyone can join us at City Hall on that day, please do for the official UN Day flag raising. As Dr. Bonczar said, my name is Mary Ann Moran Savakinus. I'm the Executive Director of the Lackawanna Historical Society, and I'm honored to be here today to help mark the 75th anniversary of the United Nations and the 52nd year of this charter's founding. We appreciate everyone's continued interest and patience with us as we've had to make adjustments this year for a virtual event, but I do think that the program will be of interest to everyone. As I'm sure you all know, the UN is dedicated to keeping peace throughout the world, working to improve the lives of the poor, to conquer hunger, disease, and illiteracy, and encourage respect of each other's rights and freedoms. I think that today's program topic, the $100 solution, complements these goals perfectly, and it's extra exciting because the founder is a Scranton native, and he's very interested in bringing this program to Northeast PA. And I know we do have some teachers and students with us today, so I hope that everyone is engaged and interested and will consider pursuing a $100 solution here at home. I first met Dr. Bernard Strenecky a few years ago when he and his wife visited the Historical Society. As we chatted, he mentioned his work with the $100 solution to encourage communities to focus on small change that can have a major impact when participants realize how they play a larger role in community development and indeed in the world. So I thought immediately this would be a great program for a UN Day. And I was so glad that when I asked Dr. Strenecky if he would participate, he agreed to. Originally, he was going to come to Scranton and we were going to have an in-person luncheon as we do every year, but today we're virtual. So I want to tell you about our speakers, just a few introductions, and then we'll begin the program. Dr. Bernard Strenecky is presently a scholar in residence at Western Kentucky University and teaches in their Department of Military Science. He holds a master's degree from the University of Scranton in reading education and a doctoral degree in education and curriculum design from the University of Rochester. His recent publications and professional presentations center on the development of interdisciplinary international service learning program design. He's taught in the Honors College at Western Kentucky and in schools of medicine and education at the University of Louisville and at the University of Virginia's Semester at Sea program. Dr. Strenecky has taught and consulted in over 50 countries and has received numerous awards for his contributions in international education development. The highest of these honors is the Gold Crown of Merit, which was awarded by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth for outstanding contributions to the development of the country of Barbados. This award is the highest honor that can be bestowed on a non-Barbadian citizen. Dr. Strenecky serves in the Diplomatic Corps of Barbados and holds the title of Honorary Consul from Barbados to Kentucky. He's active Rotarian and was designated the Rotarian of the Year for his contributions in international understanding in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. In concert with the Prospect Goshen Rotary Club, Semester at Sea, and Western Kentucky University, he has developed a humanitarian program entitled the $100 Solution. Through this program, students learn to solve social problems at a local, national, and international level. To date, programs have been established in 12 different countries. In the fall of 2017, Dr. Strenecky assumed the directorship of the think tank at WKU, whose primary purpose is to provide academically talented undergrad students with the knowledge and skills necessary to work in a think tank setting. The program focuses on addressing social issues at the university, community, and national level. With Dr. Strenecky today are two of the $100 Solution team, Connor Hounshell and Maggie Mercer. Connor is a first-year MPH in health policy student at George Washington University and recently graduated from Western Kentucky, where he studied biology and political science. He first became involved with the $100 Solution and has worked closely with the Play Ball Puerto Rico project, which you'll hear more about later. With Connor and Dr. Strenecky is Maggie Mercer, the current CEO for the $100 Solution. Maggie first learned about the $100 Solution through a course at Western Kentucky in which she completed a project in conjunction with African American Museum in Bowling Green. After participating in another project where local farm helped adults with special needs, Maggie became passionate about service learning and the 5 pillars of the $100 Solution, which she will explain momentarily. She became a $100 Solution Fellow in 2017 and completed rotations in academic development and marketing departments before becoming a senior fellow. She graduated from Western Kentucky with degrees in international affairs and diversity and community studies and has now relocated to Washington, D.C., where she's working toward a master's degree in international peace and conflict resolution at American University. Maggie was elected to the executive board as Chief Academic Officer of the $100 Solution in 2018, and as I said, is currently the CEO as of this past September. Welcome to the $100 Solution team, and please everyone give them your attention as they tell us about the project.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Marianne, for that introduction. I am going to be sharing my screen with a PowerPoint presentation we have while we talk to you for a little bit. So, again, I want to say thank you to Marianne and to the Scranton chapter of the UNA for having us and for letting us talk to you all today. And thank you very much to all of the students and teachers and everyone that is in attendance for giving us some of your time this weekend to hear about our organization. So today we will be talking a little bit about both the United Nations and the $100 Solution and some of the similarities between the two. And as Marianne said, I will be presenting with Dr. Strenecky, our founder and chief advisor, and Connor. So first off, we want to acknowledge again that this is the 75th birthday of the United Nations, which is absolutely amazing and something that should really be celebrated. And that's why we are going to be dedicating this presentation to both the United Nations and the $100 Solution, because they have done so much great work in the world over the last 75 years. So just to start off, as you all probably know at this point, the United Nations is an international group made up of member countries, almost every country in the world, that work together on global issues such as poverty, climate change, etc., through their sustainable development goals. Here on the left, we have some of the facts that my team found particularly interesting of things that they have been working on and made substantial progress towards on an international level. But at the same time, what I really want to highlight is the United Nations devotion to youth. So the UN has this really pervasive devotion to young people around the world. You can see that at an international level with their UNSCR 2250, which is a resolution that was passed in 2015 that focuses on youth, peace, and security and acknowledges the pervasive role of young people in world peace, in contributing to security everywhere, and and really focuses on the work that young people can do to help make a better world. You can also see this on a local level with UNA chapters around the country. There are over 20,000 members, and many of which are under the age of 26. So lots of young people have been engaged with the UN on a local level as well. So the $100 solution does similar work, but on a much smaller scale. So the way that we approach the work that we do is by asking the question of, what can you do for your community? So what can you do to make Northeastern Pennsylvania a better place to live and a better place to learn? And that's where the $100 solution as an organization and as a concept comes in. So we are a small nonprofit organization that was founded in 2006, and we work towards a mission of enriching lives and learning through service. So we seek to utilize service learning and just $100 to create long-lasting, sustainable change in the communities of our participants. At this point in time, we've funded over 100 projects in multiple countries around the world, as well as multiple states within the US. From an organizational standpoint, we are made up of an executive board, which functions as the core team of the organization, with me and my other board members, Elaine, Sam, and Eric. And Elaine and Sam are both on this call, and hopefully they'll get to say hello during the Q&A session at the end. But we are a very tight-knit and passionate group, which helps the organization to run. The really cool thing about the executive board of the $100 solution is that historically, it has always been made up of people under the age of 30 years old. So this really is an organization made up of young people and made for young people. That being said, we do have a board of advisors that help to guide the young professionals on our executive board on multiple matters. But we also have a wonderful group of fellows. Currently, we have two, Ruben and Aaron, who help support our day-to-day activities through their fellowship projects. This is a really cool program where we offer young professionals and students and anyone that's interested in volunteering with our organization in order to learn how a nonprofit works and help to create change through an organizational level project. And the really interesting part about this is that we tailor every fellowship project to the fellow's own personal and professional development goals. So that's the organization as a whole. And then we work with our academic partners, who are the ones that actually teach participants and teach students about the $100 solution model. And those are the people that really carry out the projects and the sustainable change in their communities. But of course, none of this would be happening without our extremely dedicated donors and all external support that we have. So you might be asking or wondering, what is the $100 solution project? What makes it different? What does this look like? So the $100 solution utilizes a very specific model. Every single one of our projects has to incorporate these 5 pillars: partnership, capacity building, reciprocity, sustainability, and of course, reflection. And that's what makes every single project that we fund different. And that is what we believe makes more sustainable and long-lasting change in the communities that we work, as opposed to maybe a one-off volunteer project. So I'll highlight just a few, just to give some examples of what the $100 solution really does. So first of all, as opposed to maybe volunteering, the $100 solution and service learning is really all about the learning. Dr. S says this all the time, it is all about the learning. And that's where the reflection piece comes into our model. So as students do service, they also reflect on the processes that they're going through, and they reflect on the partnerships that they have, and they reflect on the issues that they're learning about. And through those reflections, they learn about themselves, they learn about their community, and they learn about all kinds of different things that they can do to make a difference, which is a really important part. On top of that, we really focus on reciprocity. So as opposed to a volunteering situation where a student would maybe give their time to serve at a soup kitchen, these projects are much more reciprocal, where not only do students give back to their communities, but the communities end up giving back to their students. So through projects, students are able to learn new professional skills. Maybe that's how to design a fundraiser, or how to build a business model for a local NGO or something like that. And so it builds up the capacity both of the student and of the local community partner. And that reciprocity is extremely important. Lastly, the really great thing about the $100 solution is that it can be integrated into any curriculum at any level and really of any subject. So we have a fantastic textbook that teachers use all over the place to help teach the $100 solution to students of several different levels. And that really guides them through the process of a project from start to finish, using multiple examples for how to use these different pillars. So in terms of connections between the $100 solution and the UN, these are some of the ones that I see and that I find extremely important. So first of all, both really focus on this understanding of partnership and the need to work with partner organizations in order to make sustainable change. But they also promote youth learning and the participation of youth in projects in order to make that change, because oftentimes change starts with young people and with students. And the most important is that both of these organizations really try to empower youth to make the change in local communities, whether it's on an international level, focusing on peace and security, or if it's at a local level, making a change in your own backyard. And so that's part of why we're here today and why I wanted to tell you about the $100 solution. We might do change on a much smaller level, but we have very much the same goals as the United Nations. So now I would like you to learn a little bit more about the organization through some examples. And Connor, one of my colleagues, will be talking about our Play Ball Puerto Rico project.
Hello, everyone. And I just want to say thank you to Maggie for the introduction and her great overview of the $100 solution in relation to the United Nations. I also want to just thank you all for this opportunity to share about this work. Throughout my time in middle and high school, I was involved with like youth mock United Nations programs. So it's really cool to see this work continued and see organizations working to empower youth and making sure that youth are involved in that process. So like I said, Maggie did a great introduction of the $100 solution, but I'm hoping to use one of our most exciting projects, Play Ball Puerto Rico, to see our program in action and see how that works. So after Hurricane Maria in 2017, Puerto Rico was devastated. You can see one of the communities that we work with in the top here. And so you can see all just the destruction that had been caused and the impact that it had on the community. And so after seeing this destruction, actually Dr. Strenecky's grandson, Lawson Strenecky, a 13-year-old at the time, decided to take action. So he saw the lack of government response to this devastation and the lack of assistance that was going to Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria, and he knew he had to take some type of action. And he knew that he wanted to find some way to empower people his age, so young people, in order to help them help their communities recover. And so he discovered that the heart and soul of Puerto Rico is baseball. So as an athlete himself, he wanted to be able to find a way to empower youth to help their community and help recovery through baseball. So This kind of began on a small scale. He began collecting funds and gently used baseball equipment from his own community in Louisville, Kentucky, in order to partner with organizations in Puerto Rico and bring those to teams and players in Puerto Rico. And so the overall goal was to provide baseball equipment for teams, for young teams in Puerto Rico in exchange for completing community-based service projects through the $100 solution model. So you can see some of our equipment gathered here in the bottom, as well as our first trip. We made our first trip to Puerto Rico in 2018 with lots of equipment to give to teams. So if we go to the next slide. So we have continued, Play Ball Puerto Rico since the beginning has continued to grow since then. We've continued to gather equipment from not just Louisville, but also new communities across the area. We're always, like one of our pillars, we are very big on partnerships. So we've continued to grow our partnerships with different organizations, such as in Louisville, we partner with Louisville Slugger to get baseball equipment from them and provide that to teams in Puerto Rico. So building those partnerships to make a sustainable model in order to assist these teams and assist them in helping their communities recover. So like I said, our work has continued to grow. You can see our multiple different teams that we have here. Some of our most exciting developments here in the bottom left, we have had the establishment of the first all-girls fast pitch team. This is the Lady Yankees in the team posing in their uniforms. We also have in the top right another all-girls team that came afterwards, the Mermaids. And these images show the groups completing service projects in their community. So typically that looks like them cleaning up fields after their game. So finding ways to make their community look good and helping their community recover. So a large part of that is always incorporating that pillar of reflection, in which these teams will each complete a written reflection. So they send us some images from their project, as well as a written reflection that the players complete along with their team. On what they learned through this efforts and how they will continue this work in the future. Go to the next slide. So obviously, Play Ball Puerto Rico and just the territory itself has faced many new challenges. So multiple more hurricanes and series of earthquakes that have struck the island. There's also been political protests to call for the governor to step down, and now obviously impacted by the COVID pandemic. So there's currently no baseball in Puerto Rico until January at the moment, and we have had to work to adapt this project and develop a new model for the program. So what this is going to look like, or at least what we have in the plannings right now, we still have a lot of equipment, over 1,000 baseball shirts and hats that we've collected through our donations or through gathering donations from the community. And so what we're planning to do is begin giving these to older baseball players in the community as practice uniforms for them. And then in return, they will be completing a service project with younger players in the community to conduct baseball clinics. So pitching, hitting, fielding, teaching them the sport, and the young players involved will also get a shirt and hat as well. Then we're planning to have some type of opening day, hopefully in January. That will be really exciting to bring all those organizations together and having some things like a banner with our organizations involved. So hopefully that will be a really exciting day. But in the end, we'll also have players, the ones involved in the service project, doing reflections on what they learned in this project, continuously incorporating that fifth pillar of reflection. So like I said, we're currently working on developing this new model, as well as finding out how to function in a virtual world. We've worked on developing our virtual presence. So we have developed a website, working on how we can stay in communications with the teams in Puerto Rico, as well as with our local partners and individuals engaged in the communities here. So that's a quick overview kind of just of this project and how you can see the $100 solution and those pillars in action in one of our most exciting projects, and how we're kind of adapting to this current situation and this new normal. So now I'll turn it over to Dr. Strenecky to discuss the incorporation of the $100 solution into high schools and seeing some further examples of how the program, the $100 solution, is implemented.
Okay. Well, hello, fellow Scrantonians. Boy, it's so happy to be home, although I'm home virtually. It's still a very, very special thing for me to tell you a little bit about the program. And Connor and Maggie, thank you. These are superstars, absolutely superstars, telling the story of something that we're all passionate about. And of course, working with Marianne and Joe and the rest of the team is very, very special to us. Where in the world did this thing of $100 solution come from? Where did it come from? It's very, very closely tied to the Rotary clubs. I'm a card-carrying Rotarian, and as a Rotarian, our philosophy is service above self. What would happen if we took the notion and embedded it in youth and in our schools? So I'm going to tell you about the school situation. How in the world can you take an idea and a concept, not only at the college and university level, but also at the school level? I belong to a Rotary Club, and there's our banner, the Prospect Ocean Club. We are located in a community very, very similar distance-wise as Clark Summit and Addington would be to Scranton. So we are a suburb. And our club is committed to the concept of education. Education is where the action is. It's the greatest investment, return on investment that one can come by. And so here we are as a club spending our time, energy, and monies to help students succeed. We do that in the public school sector. You have to have a strong public school sector, a private school sector, as well as in faith-based schools in the Louisville area. I've been a Rotarian for about 20 years, and I just did a little research for this presentation today. And our Rotary Club has given to the students of the Louisville area $500,000 worth of scholarships. And some of them directly, some of them through Rotary International, because we believe that's where the action is. The action is certainly at colleges and universities, but boy, if we can catch people during their high school years and even during their middle school years, would that not be a magic thing? How did you get a scholarship from us? Well, we had the traditional model. You would come and you'd do an essay, and whoever has the best essay, boy, that's good. You can do an oral presentation. We call it a speech contest, or you can be interviewed. When we took a look at that notion, individuals who have that skill are from middle and upper middle class families. So we began to take a look at where was the money going, and it was going to that population. So 3 years ago, we changed the whole concept. In fact, up to this time, we gave you the money, shook your hand, and said, good luck. Probably not a good model, but it was the best model we had at the time. And this is where our concept that Maggie talked about. What are you going to do as a student? This is your responsibility to make Scranton a better community. We've been through, in fact, I had a great experience being brought up in Scranton. It's a very, 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 very special community with a very special set of ethics and a very, very interesting set of the ability to work it to make it happen. But it's now the responsibility of the students to get in there and to make it even a better place. It's also the place where we learn. The community is the place that we learn. In fact, a relatively small amount of time is spent in the classroom, much more time in the community. So it's a learning place. So we changed the model around and said, let's continue to give money, but let's ask students to give back. You have to give back. In fact, we have gone so far in the $100 solution to state that giving back is a moral responsibility. It's a responsibility that every single citizen has. And that's the beginning of the concept. So let me tell you about some of the basic principles. First of all, if we want students to serve communities, what do we do? What do we work on? Social issues and social problems. So that became the first notion. And you know what? No surprise to you, there's not a shortage of problems. We got lots of them. Within 2 miles of where anybody lives, there's literally hundreds of them out there. And they go unanswered every day, not because of 1,000 or 1,000,000, but $100. Small amounts of money could make a significant difference and help change a community. So Rotary had the funds, we are already giving it out, and we have all the faith in the world that our high school students and our middle grade students can make the change that we have. Well, the next thing we talked about is what I call a tale of two high schools. We've always worked in the one that has the Notre Dame there, which is really North Oldham, and it's not a D, it's an O, and it just happens to be where Connor, that's his neighborhood. Let me tell you about that community. It is where our Rotary Club resides. It's dreamland. The average income there is over $100,000. Most students go to college. There are ample opportunities to do advanced courses. Our goal there is to teach that population that you gotta give back. JFK talked about it, that to which much is given, much is expected, and we instill within that population. Over on the next side is Wagner High School. Very interesting school. Inner city population, an inner city population in a suburban setting. And you're scratching your head and you're saying, how could that be? Well, we have a thing called court-ordered busing for desegregation, which we still have. And so we have inner city students coming out to the suburbs for their education. Well, here are some statistics. Very few ever go to college. Something like 80% are on free and reduced lunch program. And listen to this one. Listen to this one. 23 different languages are spoken in that school. It's like the Tower of Babel. Very, very interesting. What would happen if we gave that population the advantages that the students over in North Oldham had? So that is where we begin, and I'll tell you some of that story. The first thing anybody interested in getting a program going in a high school, and I know that there are several of you are high school administrators, teachers, you can't do anything without having the support of the principal and without having the support of the teachers. So the first thing is we bring on the superintendent, we bring on the board, and we convince them, yes, having students give back is a critical and important thing to do. Next, we have to find some good teachers. Maybe not even good teachers, but great teachers who believe that giving back to society, solving social problems is a part of what they do. Then we need a sponsor. Easy for us, we had Rotary because that's what we did. And here's an interesting notion. We had our students work not only individually, but we had them working in groups. And you say to yourself, why groups? Give me any social problem in the world. I don't care. Rarely have I ever found a problem that can only be answered by one discipline. Problems are so multifaceted that we must take a look at many disciplines, and we teach students that important thing. The next thing is, what's the problem? And we, I think, developed a very unique thing. We all think we know what the problem is, but do we really know what the community problem is? And this is what we did. We had the students go ahead and interview the mayor and say, Mayor, what are the problems? What are your top 5 problems? List them. We went to the police chief and said, what's your problem? And he listed them. Social services, social workers, what are they? EMS, faith-based organizations. The students had their arms around. What are the problems of my community? How are we going to attack it? And lo and behold, you can get academic credit for it. The program was tied to the curriculum. This is not an after-school program. This is not an add-on. This is an integral part of the curriculum. This is what the school does. This is a part of learning. Real hands-on learning. I bet you're saying, now, what problems did they find? And you know what? In the both schools, we found the same problems. Health and education were a major problem. The health system is 2-tiered, 3-tiered, whatever the case may be. And they said, health is a problem. The environment. We're up to our neck in plastic. The water is dirty and the air is not that good either. Citizenship. People don't participate. We had an election here whereby we had 17% of the people go ahead and vote. That's crazy. Absolutely insane. And then, of course, the whole notion of food security. So we gave the students $100 in individually or in small groups, got a teacher who agreed to work it into the curriculum, got academic credit for it, and off we go. The school picked the top 3 projects, and there were maybe 10, 20 of them. They then presented to the Rotary. The Rotary Club gave the winners $5,000 that they shared, and the schools did that. And away we went. Now I bet you're saying to yourself, what were some of those projects? I have 20 of them, and another day we're going to have another seminar. Dr. Mary Ann and I also talked to Joan. We're going to do this. We'll tell you about more, but I'm going to tell you some of the projects. Wagner, our inner city kind of school, was in the process of redesigning their campus. And they were going to do what all campuses do. They were going to put some posies out there, a little pansy out there, throw a few tulips. Students had a bad idea. And what they did is that they developed a community forest at the school, an arboretum, in which all of the trees are from Kentucky. And now they can teach about the history of Kentucky, the people of Kentucky, the business of Kentucky, the role the forestry has played in our state, right on their campus, student-driven, nothing to do with us. The next thing, we have a very famous program here in Louisville. We have a water team that goes all over the world doing fresh water. That's their deal, fresh water. You know what? It was run by adults. The students said, can we be a part of this? In the high schools, we have something similar to the $100 solution. There are groups of students who help deal with and solve water problems. And here's one of my favorites. Here's one of my favorites. In a school with 23 different languages, most of the parents and many of the students have just become citizens. What does it mean to be a citizen of the United States? They went ahead, convinced the superintendent, convinced the judge, and they were going to have a swearing-in ceremony of their parents, of their siblings, of their uncles, and even themselves on being a citizen. What better way to teach about citizenship? That's the good news. The sad news is the pandemic came through and we didn't cancel it. We just have it on hold. Now, the rest of the story. And for those of you who are old enough to remember Paul Harvey, or even in Scranton, Bill Pierce, that kind of thing, is, yeah, Joe said, I know that guy. Here's the deal. How do we help inner city students? What could we do with them to have all the advantages of the students on the other side of the equation? And this is what we've done. We found out that there are many, many, many inner city students who have the academic to succeed in higher education, but never have an opportunity. In fact, they don't even have the dream. They don't have the dream at all. You can't even afford to have a dream. It's the impossible dream. And we're making the dream a reality. We've taken 13 juniors, good students. We enrolled them in an online course. They're going to Western Kentucky and they're getting college credit. This is something normally reserved for those who can afford it, and Rotary pays for it. Getting those kids started. And we're teaching them not only the course, they can take biology or they can take English or whatever, they can do whatever they so desire. But we have a classroom teacher. You know, college, higher education is kind of like a game. You have to be able to play the game. If you're middle class, you know how to play the game. You've played the game. And so the classroom teacher works with them on the thing of how do you succeed in college. The college professor works with the high school teacher, and we have a support program put together to give these kids the best shot that they can. Society cannot afford to lose that population. They're too important, they're too valuable. And then I have one more that I'll tell you about, and then Maggie will be jerking me off. Just say, hey, Dr. S, you've had enough. Listen to this, and this one is going to start. This one is going to start in January. We're going to find out the 25 best freshmen in this school, 25 best freshmen. And we're going to enroll them as a freshman in high school in a university course. Everybody who comes to our university has to take a course, one credit course that talks about what it is to go to college and what it's like and how to succeed. What would happen if you took very, very, very bright high school students and we're going to teach them, how do you get to college? Why do you go? What do you do? In return for this, they're going to have to do a problem to help our community. They're going to have to deal with an issue there. Well, that's a little bit about it. And you think the projects are interested and the $100 solution is interested, but it's really only half of the story. That's all it is a half of the story. The other half of the story are Maggie and Connor. To have people have their age to go and give of themselves. They can be doing 100 things on Saturday. And they said, no, we're going to help Scranton. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do that today. Talked to Maggie. And in fact, last night, she said, yeah, Dr. S, I'll make it, but I have to take a test. I said, you have to take a test? What are you talking about, Maggie? And yeah, she said, I'm taking a test today, first thing. I said, what is it in? It's in Arabic. Maggie is going to do peace and conflict resolution in Arabic. I can't even spell it. Connor, as an undergraduate, did health research in Africa. And he was in the area of diabetes and did research there, which launched him. Every kid in Scranton has to have the opportunity. They have to have the opportunity to be great. And we're here to help you. We're your friends. I'm a Scrantonian forever and ever. You might leave, but you never leave. You never really leave. You never leave the valley. It's a part of you. Now, here are some opportunities. Maggie, take it away.
Okay, great. I know we're running a little long, but we did just want to extend a few opportunities from this presentation to everyone that's tuning in and everyone in Scranton. So first of all, one of the best ways that you can kind of go forward from this is to engage with us, engage with the $100 solution, whether that's from doing a $100 solution project as a student or as a community member. starting a new program at your school, or if you're interested in the fellowship program, you're welcome to become part of the organization as well and do projects at that level. So there are multiple ways you can get involved, or just by becoming a new follower and a new supporter of the organization. There are multiple ways that you can support us going forward and hopefully support the partnership that we have or will have and are creating with Scranton.
Next, if you want to get involved in the high school program, I found a principal who will work with your principals and talk about the concept. How in the world do you do it? We have teachers who would also talk from teacher to teacher. How do you do this? What's it all about? What's it like? If you decide you want to go to the college and university level, I have a vice president who will work with anybody, loves the idea, and will work with you. Number 3, if you're interested in getting Rotary, the district governor of our district here said, happy to help. I'll work with any Rotarian group that wants to get involved with the Scranton project. Connor?
Yeah, and on the Play Well Puerto Rico front, obviously I was talking about our attempts to build like our web presence and developing virtual outreach. So we've been working on like our social media presence and things like that. So if students are able to get involved with that, and also we're always looking to create partnerships with new communities. So finding different ways that communities can partner with our organizations and our teams in Puerto Rico, and finding out how they can support them best, as well as them giving back to that community too.
And we don't have the 5th one here because it's a surprise. We at the $100 Solution are going to give the first school that has a project the $100 to get their project going, from us to you, from our heart to your heart. And we will fund your first project. And that's the story.
Great. So I think we would love to spend any of the rest of the time that we have taking questions, if anyone has questions, comments. But again, thank you to Mary Ann for setting all of this up. Thank you to the UNA in Scranton for being interested in hearing about the $100 Solution and our partnership. And happy birthday to the United Nations.
Thank you, Maggie, Bernie, and Connor. I did ask people to put questions in the chat. I don't have anything in the chat, but it's a small enough group. There's 16 people on this Zoom. So if Maggie stops her screen share, we could all come together and maybe just have a conversation for anyone who might have questions, and we can go from there. Does anybody have questions? Comments? Suggestions for a project? No pressure. Do you have questions? Okay. Well, I hope that you're all thinking about this and that we can come up with some ideas for the future. The tagline for the UN 75th is shaping our future together. So I think this is an absolutely wonderful opportunity to shape our future together. We can work with the $100 Solution from Scranton and make some interesting things happen. I know there are a few teachers here and some students. So if you have ideas and you want to reach out to Joe Ricarrdo as your contact, Joe can keep us informed, and we can put you in touch with Bernie and Connor and Maggie as you need. And if you have anything, Maggie just put her email right in the chat, so you can be directly in touch with Maggie. We did run a little late. I'm sorry about that. I had some technical difficulties, but I do want to thank everyone for their participation today. If you're not a UNA member locally and you want to join, you can go to unausa.org/join/membership. We only ask if you're from Northeastern Pennsylvania. When you join, you select Northeastern Pennsylvania as your community chapter. That's what helps us keep going. That we get support for anybody who joins from NEPA and recognizes that. I do want to thank everyone for participating. I want to especially thank Bernie and Maggie and Connor for a great program, and hopefully this relationship will continue. And I invite you all to participate in whatever we do next. and look forward to seeing you. Does anyone have any other comments?
Marianne?
Yes, Joe.
It's Joe. Couple things. I am, as a member of the board of directors of the UNA, the local UNA, I'm committed to certainly working with teachers and students, not only on getting the funding, but implementing strong service learning programs. This is something where I think I could speak for the board, where we want a true partnership with the schools. And I want to thank Bernie and Maggie and Connor for a tremendous presentation. I think it's something that it's a partnership, hopefully that will grow over the years. I know that we have had strong interest originally from Scranton High and Scranton Prep. And I think what a wonderful two really strong demonstration models, pilot projects for the first year. So I think Dan is still on. I had said to Dan on the phone the other day that, this will be a partnership between the board and the schools. It'll be an active partnership. And I want to thank Bernie for agreeing to fund our first project. I think that is extremely generous. And we want to come up with quality proposals that, will really achieve some strong outcomes. And hopefully some ideas that could be shared with all the schools in the area. I think you want to avoid duplication, but we all like replication. We all like to replicate successful models. I'm really excited from the Play Ball Puerto Rico project, and any way that we could possibly support that or piggyback onto that, to strengthen that project would be wonderful. But thank you all. It's just been a tremendous presentation.
I have a question. I would like to know from the Scrantonians, can you tell me why it can work in Scranton? What do we have to do to make it happen? Is this a dream that we have? Would any of the teachers or the students from Scranton give me some feedback, or more appropriately, as Maggie said before, what did you learn from our presentation? And it's perfectly okay. It's perfectly okay. He said, you guys are really interesting, but we didn't learn a thing. But I'm just very, very interesting. Would anybody step forward and share it with us? Anybody?
Sean, I see you're unmuted. Are you there?
I did. I just was getting connected here. I was a little nervous to get too involved because my power went out during the whole thing. And it took me a little while to get back in. And but I do want to thank everybody for the presentation. And a lot of the things that Dr. Strenecky said really hit home for me. And I think I can speak for Dan Ricarrdo from Scranton Prep as well. Dan and I have known each other for a long time, and Dan's at Scranton Prep. I'm at Scranton High School, the public school. Dan's at the private school. I went to the private school. I coach at the private school. So we have a great relationship and rapport. We really work well together. But a lot of what Dr. Strenecky said falls right in that Jesuit mentality that I know he came in through the University of Scranton. Dan teaches now, and so much of that in terms of being a global citizen and learning and reciprocity and partnership, it all is so impressive. And I'm kind of excited about it. I'm very excited about it because I see this as something that Scranton Prep and Scranton High School can really work together with. At the same time, we have a similar relationship to the schools that Dr. Strenecky was talking about. We speak well over 30 languages at Scranton High School and have about the 70 to 80% below the poverty line at Scranton High. And like I said, at Scranton Prep, where my kids go, and two of my kids went, and one is still there, and I coach there. I see all of it, and I've asked my students, a couple of which were on earlier, and some were, I gave them the link to watch it on the TV network if that worked. I asked them to look at the community a different way. I asked them to look at a different way at when they're going anywhere around the city, to just look at it and look at it through a different lens. And let's see what we can fix, because it's so easy to point out problems, but what can we fix? And even if it starts at just $100, where can we go from there? And the idea of this is amazing to me. I'm very excited about it. I'm so happy that Marianne and Joe and all of our local, Betsy and everybody locally, Dave Wenzel, reached out and made this happen, because I think that this is something that the city of Scranton needs right now. I think that we've had some struggles recently, and I'd like to see our city build itself out of that, and empowering our youth and promoting the idea of service above self and our Jesuit mentality of being there for others. I think this all falls perfectly within the United Nations goals and the things that Dan and I have for years tried to teach our children. So I want to thank everybody from the $100 solution and the local UN guys and everybody that's put this together. I think this is a great potential marriage. I think we can really get something done.
Dan is also here. Does Dan want to say anything?
Yes, sure.
Oh.
There we go. I think I'm unmuted now. Thank you so much for this presentation, Dr. Strenecky and Connor and Maggie. Yeah, I mean, this sounds fantastic, and just as Sean said so well, it's certainly right up our alley. I mean, PrEP has a very robust service program, and I guess I'm trying to figure out where this would fit in. You mentioned about it becoming part of the curriculum. Could something like this exist as an extracurricular? I mean, does it have to become a formal part of the curriculum? I don't know if you could speak to that more, because I'd be interested in seeing, how we could fit it into our school.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It definitely does not have to be part of a curriculum. It can be an extracurricular activity. So we've had, especially like National Honor Societies reach out to us in the past, interested in using it as a way for their students to do service. So that's definitely an opportunity. It can be really flexible depending on what your situation is. And I think there's lots of different ways that it can be incorporated into a school. And I'd be happy to speak with you more about your specific school and your ideas later if you're interested. But yeah, it definitely does not have to be in a classroom.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Because I'm thinking, we're sort of coming at this from the perspective of running a model United Nations club, and if possibly that could be the vehicle for it at our school.
Yeah, definitely.
It can certainly be co-curricular, and I have seen that happen. Another place that we see it happen is that many schools have a service requirement for graduation. And in fact, I don't know Pennsylvania, but states have a service requirement. In order to get out the door, you have to do it. Well, many times they don't take that very seriously, and it is probably not it. And therefore, by having a structured program with a textbook and guidelines and all of the things that go along with it, how some of our schools use it is that they put it into any course, and they have a module or modules within that course. And whether that be government or whatever the case may be, and do it that way. But that's the wonderful thing about the $100 solution, that you can do whatever you want with it. It doesn't have any 10 commandments. It's kind of cool.
Maggie, I have two questions, if I could ask. One is, this is Joe. One is describe, you had talked about the reflection aspect of service learning. As far as the projects go, describe what are some of the standards of accountability. I mean, if a school completes a project, what are some of the measurements where you measure the demonstrable impact in the community, in the school? If you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do, on an organizational level, do a fair amount of what we call project tracking. So most of our programs, they will, especially in their first year, will submit almost like a proposal form for their project, kind of explaining how it meets all of the 5 pillars. And that's really a way for the board to give feedback to students and to participants on maybe things that they hadn't thought about before, things of that nature. And then typically at the end of their project, they will submit a similar type of either like a write-up or I hesitate to say report, but something that tells us how it went, what happened, what they did, especially with the $100. In order for us to have that kind of accountability and know what was used. I will say also we are actually right now in the process of revamping our project tracking process. That's one of our brand new fellow, Ruben, is working on that process. So it will be probably changing slightly over the next 6 months. And hopefully we will be doing a better job of it. We also have a very interesting research foundation. And through that, we have had some professors at the University of Kentucky actually go back and talk to community partners that we had worked with or participants had worked with in the past. So some of that kind of retroactive following up to see how things have gone is going on as well. But in terms of the students, we really like to get feedback at the end of their project to know what happened, what they learned, how they used the $100, what the effects were, etc. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And just as a follow-up, Dr. S did mention about, peer support for teachers. I mean, is there a model within the $100 where let's say Dan and Sean collaborate on a project? Could they talk to other teachers that have had experiences? There may be even some type of community email or sharing of resources library that they could rely on?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is actually something that we have started in the last probably 6 months, but right now all of our academic partners are getting together on a quarterly basis to talk about, roadblocks, things that they're working through, the projects that their students are doing, and really share ideas and resources and things like that. And so far it has gone incredibly well. I will say all of our partners love participating in that. And it was kind of born out of this struggle with adapting to doing $100 solution projects during COVID-19 and during this pandemic. So they would definitely be invited to participate in those calls and to learn from some of our other partners. I think also, if they are interested in having more frequent or more targeted conversations with some of our partners, I can definitely set that up as well. And we try to provide all of the support and resources or anything that they could need. So really, I try to tailor that feedback to whatever the partner needs. But yep, there's lots of communication between our partners.
Good.
So here's a couple of comments on that. That reflective piece is extremely important. And here are 3 questions that I use all the time. What did you learn? Maggie talked about that. It's all about the learning. If there's not learning, you're doing something else, but at least be aware of it. The second thing I do is ask students, after they finish a project, if by some very, very special power, you could live this day over again and you worked on this project, what would you do? Exactly the same, or would something happen? And then the third thing I asked them to do, how do you think you're going to use this skill in your future, whatever that future may be, whether that be your occupation? And that leads us down. I'm going to have Dr. Flynn talk about, I see she's in Elaine's on here. The big thing about service learning is, does it make a difference? Or is it feel good? We just feel good about it. And Elaine runs that project on answering that question, are we really making a difference? And what would happen if in Scranton, at the very, very beginning, we had a couple of hypotheses? And wouldn't this be an incredible thesis for somebody, whether that be at the master's level, doctoral level, or anything else? Does it really make a difference? And Elaine, will you share your thoughts on that and what's going on there?
Hi, yeah, of course. Hello, everyone. I'm Elaine Flynn. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the $100 Solution and the Director of the Bill Sherman Research Foundation that Maggie mentioned briefly earlier. So the whole goal of the Research Foundation was that we started asking several years ago, do we truly make a difference? We can personally see lives changing. We can see, how students progress after doing a project and what all they're able to accomplish in life. But we didn't have any qualitative or quantitative information behind that to show that, yes, we do make a difference in both the communities and in the student lives. And so we started this Bill Sherman Research Foundation up to answer that. What difference does the $100 Solution make? And so we support individuals who do the research through grants. We have both $500 and $1,000 grants that are awarded to people that do research. As Dr. Strenecky said, sometimes it's just a simple question of, did we make a difference in this situation? We've had academic partners who have done the research to look at how we've impacted community partners, and then followed up after that to look at how the fact that the community partners felt like they didn't really truly understand what the $100 Solution was when they were working with the students. How can we make that better by providing training to them? And so different aspects there, but definitely looking into, can we actually see the impact we're making?
This is going to be my last comment, and I promised them to shut up, but I know that I had said earlier that there's a difference between replication and duplication. And I think replicating some of the best practices that you've seen, Dr. Flynn, that you've seen in some of your research and best practices model would really be helpful as we design some of our initial projects.
Joe, here's one thing I'm really interested in, and when I teach the course, they'll teach the course. It's called research-based decision-making. We get into a problem, whatever that problem may be. We believe in our heart and soul, we're the first person in the world who's ever tackled that problem. Nobody's ever seen that problem before, but in reality, there's a plethora of research done. What would happen if the students, before tackling a problem, did a review of the literature? What did other people do who are faced with the same thing? And that's where the lessons learned, the best known practices come from, all of that kind of thing, which I think is very, very special, a very special kind of thing. I know, Sean, you talked about having a Jesuit tradition. I take that very seriously. I take it very, very seriously. I think as all of us do, it's a very, very special thing. And that fits right in. It fits right into what we do. I know that Maggie said that there's an opportunity for someone to be a scholar. You find the right person and Maggie and her team will give them the academic ride of a lifetime. Take a look at these people, a worldwide organization. Maggie is the head, and if you didn't know, you would be saying, how old's Maggie? Come on, what's the real deal? Maggie's 24, and she runs a worldwide organization. Where are you going to get that opportunity? And we can get them. Elaine, probably the youngest, one of the youngest PhDs I've ever seen, 20-something, and she had a doctorate already. And I'm 20-something, I was running around chasing myself around the block. I had no idea what's going on. And these are very, 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 very special people. And the ability of the community to have our students and our people working at the international or national level with high flyers, because this is who they're going to work with and this is who they're going to compete with. And life is a contact sport, and coach, and there it is. And this is what I think can happen. And we find that very magic person, we can give them a special kind of experience.
Are there any other questions or comments? Betsy, I see you're on. Betsy Bonczar. All right, maybe she can't get a mic going. But Betsy's the president of the UNA group here. So if she was here, I wanted her to say hello. Sean, do you have something else?
I did. I just had two quick questions and a quick, we do, Dan and I do have a student or two who are wonderful young women who I think are going to really excel in something like this. I'm looking forward to working with Olivia and Caroline. I think that they really are going to be able to run with this. But the questions that I had was curriculum wise, there was a lot of talk about the curriculum of this. One, how do I get my hands on that? Is this something that I can purchase? Is this something that you can send me? Like, how can we start to work this curriculum into what we, trying to come up with the right idea for us, whether it's to start something new here or to piggyback off something you guys are currently doing. And second, these academic partners that that I'd love to connect with. Is there a way or a regular Zoom session of some sort that we can get involved with and try to absorb as much as we can and then apply to our community?
Yeah, great questions. So in terms of the curriculum, I would be happy to send both of you a copy of our textbook for you to review, excuse me, and kind of look over. And then in terms of starting to put it into a curriculum, we typically will do a training for new partners that we have established that goes through the whole 5 pillars, how to teach them, how to incorporate them, as well as going through a lot of those best practices that we've seen and gotten feedback on from doing this since 2006. So I would be happy to set those up as well if you would like, and definitely on getting together with some of our partners that can be put into place. I know Dr. S specifically has some high school administration and teachers, I believe, that would be happy to talk to you as well for that high school specifically perspective. But yeah, if you are interested, as long as you can give me your contact info, I would be happy to send you a copy of the textbook.
What we can do is the $100 solution can sponsor a symposium. And there we would have teachers, administrators from Scranton, teachers and administrators from the program that we're running here in Kentucky, work up a nice agenda and talk about nuts and bolts. And with Maggie and her people going ahead and under that thing that Joe and I were talking about. Why in the world do we have to rediscover the wheel? Maybe is what fits for you. It fits very differently in very, very different communities. And I think we don't know the answer to that, but maybe a steering committee whereby we can take a look at what have we learned from other people and where do we go from there rather than doing something. I have learned another valuable lesson doing it right now. Now is probably the least opportune time ever in my career to start a new project. Our job as teachers is to survive. We're surviving at the university level. My job is to make it to Monday. And then, God, if I can only get to Tuesday. And now to add something new, and people get discouraged at that. Is this not a good time to plan? To sit back and plan and to come up with an idea. One of the things is that some people have some time, and maybe now's the time to sit down and to come up with a strategy rather than do the Nike model. Just go do it, and then let's go fix it later. Maybe we'll do something very innovative and do some real good strategic planning, coming up with the Scranton United Nations plan for putting this together for a community.
Okay, I speaking of time, I do want to not go too much longer because we've been on for over an hour and a half, and great conversations. I want to continue them, and any way that we can help continue and facilitate this conversation, we are happy to do. We will try to make sure everybody who needs everybody's contact information gets it. And again, thank you all for coming. I am going to end the meeting now. Thanks again to our presenters, Bernie Strenecky, Maggie Mercer, and Connor Hounshell. And thanks to everyone for their participation. Sean and Dan, I hope we can get something going in the schools, and to the committee and you other UNA members, Emeritus Chair Dave Wenzel, current Chair Elizabeth Bonczar, Dr. Elizabeth Bonczar, Joe Ricarrdo, who's showing an active participation in this project, as well as Peggy Ionetta and my husband, Bob Savakinus. They're both here, I think, virtually hiding, but it's a great program, and we do look forward to continuing this great partnership.
Marianne, I have to interrupt, and I have to thank you. I want to thank Moran Savakinus for all your hard work, for bringing this to our chapter. You are also the executive director of the Lackawanna Historical Society, which is more than a full-time job. Knowing your schedule, knowing how hard you work and all that you have going on, this is a credit to you that you took the time to bring that to this to us. So your enthusiasm is infectious, and we thank you for your leadership.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate those words. And with that, farewell, everyone. Thanks again so much for participating.